Okay. I hope you guys can hear me. I didn't think to do a sound check. Okay, well, I was thinking that it just goes to show. I don't know why the heck I'm wearing these. It just goes to show how subjective movies can be. Couple sitting next to me is eating this particular movie up, like just eating it up, loving it. And I'm over there rolling my eyeballs. Okay, well, you guys. Now my screen's all screwed up. Let me remove this thing here. Remove from studio. I thought it was going to be real smart. Okay, so tonight, hold on. Tonight I did a double feature. I went to go see Silent Night, and then I went to go see The Shift. And because I'm too lazy to actually film a review because of the editing time that I know will be involved, but I do want to talk about these movies a little bit, I decided that I would do a live stream, just a really quick live stream chat. I'm not going to be on here very long because it's almost midnight. It's almost tomorrow. And right now I can't stay up too late. So I'm just going to very quickly talk about my thoughts of, regarding these two movies. If you can't tell by my demeanor, let me know if you can't hear me, by the way, the one person that's watching. I'm just doing this to have this saved for posterity without having to go through actually filming and editing. If you can't tell, my general idea about these two movies was fairly negative. I should have put a banner up, but I think the title tells you guys what I'm talking about. I went to see Silent Night. I was actually really looking forward to that because I like Joel Kinnaman. I thought this movie was going to be excellent, and I have to say, for the first half, plus a little bit more than halfway through, I thought it was pretty solid. High deleted scenes. I saw you were live also. And I was thinking about you today when I was watching this because, like, you know what? I want to talk about these movies, but I don't want to film a review. And, but I don't have unlimited data, so I can't do live streaming from the theater. So I came home, did the dishes real quick, and I'm getting ready to settle down for the evening, but I wanted to talk about these movies. Silent Night, Joel Kinnaman. I was with it up until about halfway or a little bit more through. There is an interesting aspect about this film that I appreciated, which I thought was, maybe I'm misremembering, but honestly, you guys, from what I can recall, this movie had pretty much no dialogue. Zero. And there's a reason for that. If there was some dialogue, it was less than a handful of words. I swear to goodness. So I thought that was interesting. And another thing that I liked about this movie was, I'm going to look through my notes just so I don't forget certain things. Another thing that I liked about this movie was it's basically a revenge story. And something happens to him at the beginning, and he basically has to recover from this. And it shows the process that he goes through over the length of a whole year, recovering his body, getting himself ready to go for this revenge quest that he has. And I thought that was carried. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes, it was. It absolutely was. I like the part, though, where it's showing him prep. And it really was pulling at the heartstrings. in the beginning, and he cannot get over this thing that happens, and his life is completely ruined basically, and he decides he is going to take revenge. This movie was good up until the point that he actually started to take revenge. Unfortunately, because while I did really appreciate the setup and the practice that he had to go through, the conditioning his body. In the beginning, he couldn't even hardly do a pull up, and then he's like all ripped and everything. And now Joel Kinnaman is ripped anyway. So in the beginning, when it was showing him try to do a pull up, he's in this big oversized shirt and whatever. And then later he takes his shirt off when you're supposed to see how ripped he is. It's like, well, that was him the whole time. I know this because I know he's in phenomenal shape. But anyway, so I like that. But then he starts to take revenge. And then it's like things just kind of go sideways. He is all of a sudden in the middle of this gang shootout. Just all of a sudden he's there. I felt like there were some big editing issues going on. I'm wondering how much was cut out. Like, he was going to try to arrange this gang warfare, and then all of a sudden it just happens, and I don't even know how it happened, and all of a sudden it happens, and he's there, he's in a shootout, and he's trying to rescue a cop, and then it's just all this chaotic, messy stuff, like what Deleted Scenes was saying. It was a mess in the a little bit more than halfway through until the end, because the whole revenge thing takes a bit. He takes a guy captive, and that part's okay. He takes the guy captive, he gets him to confess to stuff, and then he dumps the guy on the cop's doorstep. Yeah, this is a little bit of spoilers here, y'all. He dumps the guy on the cop's doorstep, and then from that point on, it's just this chaotic mess and silly stuff that happens, like, thinking that the girl's not going to hurt you, and then she turns around and shoots you. Stupid crap like that. I hate when that sort of stuff happens. And it just wasn't handled very well. I did like there were interesting shots when it would show. There was like this, I don't know what they call this, the thing with the silver balls hanging from a string or whatever, and you hit them and they go back and forth. I don't know what that's called, but it was cool because it did show that, and then it would show the reflection of what the camera was looking at through one of the balls or whatever. I thought that was an interesting shot. There was also an interesting shot when he's at shooting practice, and it's showing from the backside of the target he's shooting at, and you can see as he's shooting, the hole is getting bigger and bigger. I thought that was kind of interesting. Little things like that were nice touches, but then it's just like, holy cow, the framework, the stuff. Oh, I was really aggravated at the issues and the just chaotic mess that was going on. It just didn't feel like it was very well organized from a certain point on. And I don't know how much of that, hi Carl, how you doing? I didn't know how much of that was edits or just that's the way the screenplay was, and it was just a clunky mess from that point on. And when I started to get this feeling, I stopped caring what was going to happen. And at the end, they try to do something else to sort of tug on your heartstrings a little bit more. And I just didn't care. I was just like, oh, well, that part's sad and everything. But at this point, I don't care because this story was such a mess. I'm ranting a little bit. I'm a little bit upset, Carl, at my negative movie going experience tonight. I saw 2 movies. I spent hours at the movie theater. And I wish I hadn't. Because it was just... I'm hoping Godzilla tomorrow will be a better experience, and that I'll actually feel like doing a review. Because I'm doing this live stream because I don't feel like sitting down to do a review, because I know the time it's going to take to edit and then get it up by tomorrow. And it's just... I want to talk about it, but I just don't want to take the time. Anyway, so I'm talking about it. This is me yapping and ranting about these movies. Like I said, there was cool stuff about the fact that there was no dialogue in this movie. None. I don't think there was anything. If there was, it was probably less than 5 words. Reminded me a lot of another movie I saw where there was no dialogue. I can't remember what movie. Yeah, see, this was a John Woo directed movie. So there were some. Yeah, I know, Carl. Right? Um, there were some. I'm gonna pop this up here. There were some scenes that it did feel like for sure had been directed by John Woo, like some slow mo actiony scenes. Um, but like you said, maybe that was about 5 minutes long. Maybe that's all it was. And and I hate to say this because I like Joel Kinnaman, but boy, and he was fine. He was fine in here. The acting was fine. It's just I. It was muddled. Dumb scene with the chick with the gun. Cop comes into the middle of a gang fight without a stinking vest. What? You know you're heading into this potentially deadly, dangerous situation. Why are you going in without a vest? That makes no sense. Oh, and then at some point in the movie, there's a significant scar that the main character has based on something that happened at the very beginning, and then that eventually, that's just gone. That's just gone, and there's no way the scar would be gone. It was a significant scar, y'all. Anyway, so that was the first movie that I saw. And then I was thinking, well, surely. Oh, let me get. There was something I wrote down. I wrote down this note. All of a sudden, he's found them. So, like, he's tracking down these people that he wants to carry out his revenge on. And then all of a sudden, he's just somehow magically found them. You have no idea how he did. You see all the prep he goes through, getting his body condition, getting strong, getting this vehicle ready for practicing his driving, practicing his shooting, practicing his combat, and with a knife and all that stuff. And oh, sorry, what? Yeah, for maybe 5 minutes. That's true. For maybe 5 minutes. You see him do all this, but you don't see how he actually tracks down these people. How? How did this happen? It just. Anyway, that feels like that's about as much commentary as I want to put into this movie. Like I said, I did want this to be a short stream. I would love to talk. I would love to rant more and more and more about it. But like I said, I can't stay up too late. Okay, second movie that I saw, The Shift by Angel Studios. So, let me check out some. Okay, I just got done watching football, but I wanted to say hello. Okay. Hey, Glenn, you know what? I miss them too, and eventually we're going to get more. It's been so busy, and I feel like I would like things to be in a certain place in my life before we commit to getting ratties. And so yeah, at some point I would like to have more, for sure. We still have the cage. It's still ready to go whenever we bring some home. So it was good to see you again, Glenn. Hope you're doing well. The Shift by Angel Studios. Okay, so the trailer for this movie is tons better than the actual movie itself. I made the mistake of thinking that The Shift was going to be as solid as Sound of Freedom, and it's not. It's not. And what I said at the very beginning of this, I almost said this movie. What I said at the very beginning of the stream when it got started, how movies are subjective. I was sitting right next to a couple. So, okay, I know. It's reminding me I have to take some medicine. I was sitting right next to this couple. They were eating this film up and they loved it. And I'm over there right beside them. I'm just right beside them rolling my eyes. I was rolling my eyes so hard. This couple, by the way, was sitting in the wrong seat. They should have been a couple seats over, but they had moved. Anyway, whatever. I'm just in a ranty mood today. Okay, so this movie, I made the mistake of thinking this film was going to be as solid as Sound of Freedom, because it's from Angel Studios. But you see, Angel Studios didn't make Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom was already done, in the bag, ready to go. And then, through this course of several years that it took to happen, Angel Studios then put it out in theaters. They were the ones Eduardo Verástegui was able to buy it back from Disney. Then they put it out in theaters. There's a whole thing about that. But they didn't make Sound of Freedom. And Sound of Freedom has faith-based elements in it, but it's not primarily a faith-based movie. And that's probably why that film is so solid, because that's not the underpinning of the film. And the problem with The Shift, and the reason why faith-based movies just generally don't land with me, and it's not that I'm opposed to faith-based stuff. My background is Christianity, but it doesn't work well for me most of the time, because generally faith-based films, they're very clunky, and the messaging that they attempt to get across, it just doesn't land. It doesn't come across to me in an organic and actually impactful way. So, like, one of my favorite fundamentally faith-based movies is Signs, because it's not built on that. It's sort of, the story is like symbolic for loss of faith, restoration of faith, and there's other elements in it too, and that's what makes that movie so good. But The Shift, the trailer was better. The movie itself, I understood what they were going for, but the problem was it was just such a jumbled mess, and the sentimental type of yeah, they get preachy, they get a bit heavy. When it's subtle is when I like it the best. This was not subtle, because there was a lot of scenes where, oh, God's not listening to you, and God's not here, and guy getting down on his knees and praying, and then something miraculous happens. You think that was God? That wasn't God. And it was just like no, it didn't work. It was an attempt. It was like this attempt at multiverse storytelling with a spiritual bent. This guy's trying to get back to his wife. There's all these different multiverse. It's basically a multiverse, and but it had this very strong. I mean, that part was kind of interesting, but the problem was also they didn't really explain the world very well. Like, they didn't explain it. Like, some of the stuff just didn't make sense. And not that I want to be handheld in stories, but when you are plopped into a situation, things have to make a bit of sense. And there was stuff that just didn't make sense to me at all in this dystopian reality that he was living in for a good portion of the movie. And it was just hokey. It just was hokey to me. And I was thinking it was going to be pretty solid. But like I said, that was a mistake, because it's not Sound of Freedom. And yeah, it just didn't work. Did you? You know what? I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are if you watch it. I had pretty high hopes for it too, because the trailer, I thought, was pretty good. I was impressed with the trailer. The movie itself, I literally was, I kid you not, rolling my eyes. I was like, oh. And I was thinking about leaving. Sean Astin, Sean Astin, Patty Duke Austin, Sean Austin, however you say his last name, dude from The Hobbit, son of Patty Duke. He was in here. I don't know. He felt kind of cartoony to me. The main character who played in here was the dude who played in Wonder Woman 1984, the one who had the Steve Trevor jumped into his body, his spirit was in his body, that guy. He was okay. His acting was all right, but it's just the story was cringe. It was kind of cringe. Yeah, for sure. It was cringe. The messaging didn't land. Not to me, it didn't. It has to be done right, and it's just so very rarely done right. And this was a case where it just wasn't done right. And I guess audiences that go to see it are going to primarily be people that really enjoy faith based movies. And so it might get higher ratings than I'm given to you. This is obviously just my perspective on it. Um, Typically, faith based movies don't work for me. This one definitely did not. Yeah. Carl, less is more. Less is more because you have to have something else to sort of anchor it. Because if you just base it on this one thing, it's only going to appeal to a certain demographic. And if you don't, I mean, and whatever, maybe that demographic will be perfectly fine. But I want my films to have a bit more substance than just um, this sort of very clunky attempt at spiritual messaging. And there are other films that I've seen that have been far more impactful that have not said nearly as much to your face. So, yeah, I didn't take a lot of notes on The Shift. I took more notes on Silent Night. That was when I thought I was actually going to come home and do a review, but after Silent Night was done, I was like, oh, maybe The Shift will be worth it. Nope. I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I took 5 notes. I wrote clunky effort, evil not with horns, because there was a point where it's kind of there was some interesting dialogue in here. Neil McDonough's character, dude with the blonde hair and very blue eyes, his character was making he was kind of cartoony too. His character, what was he called? The benefactor. He was making some sort of comment about, evil's not doesn't it's not something with horns. Evil is like this, and evil is this. He was basically talking about these different parts about humanity that can be considered evil, apathy or whatever, different stuff. And so it's like, okay, I get that point. I appreciate that point. That was maybe the only thing I really appreciated about this. Anyway, and then I wrote attempt at multiverse with a spiritual bent. And then I wrote couple beside me because they really were digging it. Like they were really liking it. And then I wrote special message just like Sound of Freedom, because at the end of the movie there was a special message like what they did with Sound of Freedom about paying it forward, that sort of thing. Someone paid forward a ticket for me to see this, and I was going to take advantage of that, but it happened to be that it was going to be at a time where I'm going to be out of town. Next week I'm going to be out of town, and so I just ended up getting my own ticket for this. So that was really the only message of this. It wasn't anything super. It wasn't really necessarily anything worth staying around for, unless you feel strongly about paying it forward to get a ticket for somebody. But yeah, basically, I did not have a great movie night, and I'm agitated about it. And I am hoping that Godzilla Minus One is going to be a better experience. I have heard good things about Godzilla Minus One, but sorry, it's the camera. But I've heard good things before about other movies, and I've gone to watch them, and I've been disappointed. So I'm just going to go in with no expectation at all. I keep telling myself this. You'd think I would learn. I don't learn. I don't learn. I obviously don't learn. Because I get excited about stuff. And then I watch it, and then I don't agree with the excitement level that I've seen around me. But I have a feeling. I have a good feeling. No, I'm not even going to say that. I'm just going to wait till tomorrow. I'm going to go see it tomorrow evening after work and all that. So, oh, okay. So, yeah. See, I get excited. I get excited when people say this sort of stuff. I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going to be very cautiously hopeful about it. Yeah, me too, Carl. I really do get agitated because I expect more of movies. I have an expectation of solid writing in everything I go to see pretty much. Now, okay, granted, I went to go see Pooh, Blood, and Honey. Oh, all right, whatever. I generally have an expectation of solid writing when I go see a film, and I get really annoyed when that doesn't happen. So, I was not happy. Oh, yes. I was very happy with American Fiction. That movie's excellent, you guys. I did an out of the car reaction / turned into more like a full on review. That's an excellent movie. I was very, very happy with that one. That's an example of great writing combined with great acting. And to me, great pacing, great storytelling. Love that film. I would have preferred to rewatch American Fiction than to watch the 2 movies that I watched tonight. So, yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all. Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a short stream. I just wanted to get it out there without having to take the time to sit down and do all the editing. You guys have no idea. If you're not a YouTuber, you have no idea how much time it takes to edit just a simple review. And you know how I can tend to go on and on in my reviews, but like take the time frame of what a review ends up being and multiply it by maybe 3, 4, or 5, or 6. And that's how long it sometimes takes. Especially if I'm super picky. So. Okay. Well, I think my rant is over. I'm going to go ahead and end stream. Thank you to everyone who showed up. There were much more people that showed up than I was expecting. My main goal for this was just to get it down on video and have it saved for posterity. And do it the lazy way so that I don't have to edit. I mean, I could go through the YouTube editor and edit it at some point, but I don't think I'm going to. These are my thoughts on 2 movies. 2 for the price of 1 live stream. So, yeah. That's it. And, yes. Thank you, Carl. You too. And I'm hoping that tomorrow will be a better experience. All right, you guys. This is it for now. I'll talk to y'all later. And hope you have a great rest of your week and a wonderful weekend. Adios.